Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Rahul here, back again with another video, and today I'm here with another top 10, and this time I got my top 10 shooting guards, and we're just going to be continuing my top 10 players at every single position in the NBA right now. So before this video does get started, I do want to say, go ahead and check out my podcast if you guys haven't already. The link to it, it's in the description below, and I do want to try and grow that thing, so it would mean a lot to me if you guys could go ahead and, just check it out, and I will be uploading on there more frequently, so if you guys want to get more content from me, just go ahead and check it out. But without further ado, let's get this video started. And coming in at number 10, we got Collin Sexton of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last season, Collin Sexton, he just took another leap in his play, and I mean, he was super good, to put it simply. He's a very good scorer, he's great at finishing around the rim, and his shooting, it's pretty good. Not the best in the league, obviously, but I mean, he's still a pretty good shooter, and overall, he's a very good scorer. Now, while he is a very good scorer, he's not exactly that good at anything else besides scoring the ball, but even then, I mean, he's still a good player, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with being, just a really good scorer. He's not a very good playmaker or defender, and I do think part of the reason why his defense isn't that good is because, he's a lot shorter than most shooting guards, and that really can hinder his impact on the defensive side of the ball. But even with that being said, Collin Sexton, he's a very good player, best player on the Cavaliers, and last season he averaged 24 points per game, 4 assists per game, 3 rebounds per game, shooting 47.5% from the field and 37% from 3. At number 9, we got CJ McCollum of the Portland Trailblazers. CJ McCollum, he's not anything like crazy, but he's a pretty solid shooting guard, like near all-star level. And he's a pretty good player. He can score the ball very well, and he's also a very good shooter. Now, although he's very good on offense, he is pretty undersized for a 2 guard, and he's a very bad defensive player, I have to say that, but nonetheless, he's still a very, very decent player. And last season, he had another good year with averaging 23 points per game, 5 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game, shooting 46% from the field and 40% from 3. I do want to add on, this isn't necessarily like, a shot at CJ McCollum, but while he is a good player, I just don't know if he can necessarily fit in, with Damian Lillard, simply because that defensive backcourt is just so bad. And I do feel like it is kind of holding back the Portland Trailblazers, so I mean, I could maybe see him getting traded, but even then, CJ McCollum is still a pretty good player. At number 8, we got Shay GildersAlexander. Last year, Shay, he took a really big leap in his play. He saw increases in stats like points, assists, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage, despite basically being the only ball handler and like really just consistent source and of shot creation and offense on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, he didn't miss like almost half the year, so that definitely inflated his stats a little bit. And had he played a lot more games, chances are his numbers wouldn't look as good. But nonetheless, SGA was super good last season. He's a very good scorer. He can shoot the ball pretty well. He's really good as a finisher, and he's improved quite a bit as a playmaker. And I mean, he's very good overall offensively. His defense, not the best in the world, but he's still not necessarily like a negative on defense, and he's a very good player. Definitely the best player on OKC. Now, granted, OKC's not a very good team, but I mean, even then, Shay GildersAlexander is still a very good player in his own right. And last season, in 35 games, he averaged 24 points per game, 6 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game, shooting 51% from the field and 42% from 3. Coming in at number 7, we have Jayson Brown of the Boston Celtics. I mean, it's crazy that Jayson Brown is this low. I mean, that just goes, to show like how stacked the shooting guard position is, when it comes to the top, because Jayson Brown is a super duper good player. I mean, if you have him higher, I guess I can't totally blame you. He's improved even more when it came to his creating and, just creating his own shot and scoring, and he's one of the best two-way wings in the league. He has the ability to score the ball very well, of course. He can shoot very well. He's very good at creating for himself, as I said before, and he's a very good defensive player. Last season, he made the first All-Star game of his career, and I think that won't be the last time he does make the All-Star game. I think he's going to make it, at least a few more times, and him and Jayson Tatum, they form one of the best duos in the NBA, and I really do hope the Boston Celtics, can continue to win with them, and I really do hope Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, do win, like, one championship in their career, because I love both of them, and Jaylen Brown, he's a super good player, and last season, he averaged 25 points per game, 3 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game, shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3. Up next at number 6, we got Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls, and now If you got Zach higher, I can't blame you, because Zach LaVine in 2021 had his best season yet, as he saw a career high in categories like points, assists, field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage, and he absolutely transcended last year. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA, he's a very good finisher, and he's a very good shooter, and he's one of the most athletic players we have in today's game, and his defense and playmaking, they definitely improved last season. Now, granted, they still are not very good, but even then, it's always nice to see him improve on, in those aspects of his game. And with Lonzo Ball on the team, I think he should be even better, given how well they do complement each other. Because I talked about this in a video about the Chicago Bulls. I guess I will leave a card, hopefully I don't forget, but yeah, Lonzo Ball and his strengths are, Zach LaVine's weaknesses, and vice versa. Zach LaVine's strengths, they're Lonzo Ball's weaknesses. They complement each other very well. And Zach LaVine, last season, he was named an All-Star for the first time in his career, and last season he averaged 27 points per game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds per game, shooting 51% from the field and 42% from 3. And to make it even more impressive, I mean, he was kind of the only consistent, shot creator on the Chicago Bulls. And, Nikola Vucevic, he didn't arrive, to the team like up until like halfway into the season, and even then Nikola Vucevic is not an elite perimeter shot creator. I mean, he's still a pretty good player, though. I have to say Nikola Vucevic is a super good player, but Zach LaVine, he's awesome. Now I do think his points per game next year could definitely decline a little bit, simply because he has guys like Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan now to take pressure off of him, and he will get a full season of Nikola Vucevic. At least I'm assuming he will, and I think that could definitely hurt his stats a little bit, but even then Zach LaVine is still a very good player. And making our way into the top 5, we have Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. Now, Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he was super good last season, of course. He's a very good scorer. He can shoot the ball very well. And like Zach LaVine, he's one of the most athletic players in the NBA right now. He was a massive part of the Jazz claiming the 1 seed in the West last year, and look, I know they disappointed in the playoffs, and we will be talking about that, shortly, but I mean, hey, claiming the 1 seed in the West, that is no feat you can necessarily laugh at. And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, if he wasn't on the Utah Jazz, I don't think the Jazz would have even gotten close to claiming the 1 seed in the West, and there's no denying how good he was last year. Now, again, they did disappoint in the playoffs, and I do think the Jazz, I mean, if they really do want to get some respect, I mean, first off, those fans really got to stop being, some of the bad fans there, they got to stop saying some racist stuff, of course. And along with that, the Jazz, they got to do better in the playoffs. And I mean, even then, Donovan Mitchell, he's still a very good player in his own right. And last season, he averaged 26 points per game, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds per game, shooting 44% from the field and 39% from 3. I don't know if the Jazz will claim the 1 seed next year, but I do think they will be very good. And even though I am a Denver Nuggets fan and the Jazz are my least favorite team, I do like Donovan Mitchell. He's a very good player, and he is a pretty good person as well. Up next, we got Bradley Beal, the man in the thumbnail. Bradley Beal is obviously one of the best scorers in the NBA, and while he isn't exactly amazing at anything, else outside of scoring, Bradley Beal is still a very, very good player in his own right, and he's such a good scorer and shooter to the point where, I mean, he's one of the best players in the NBA, and while his teams haven't seen a crap ton of success, it's really not his fault, given the fact that he's had a bad coach and not a very good team around him over the past few seasons. Now, he's not, as I said before, he's not very good at anything outside of shooting and scoring, but still an amazing player, and I really do hope Bradley Beal, does, get a taste of winning, again in his career. I don't know if he's gonna get traded, because we've gone through this cycle like a million times before, and it seems like he is keen on staying in Washington, but yeah, who knows where if Bradley Beal does finish his career as a Wizard. I still like the guy a lot, and I do hope one day he does, win a championship, and he can, at the very least, just feel, just get the feeling of being on a consistent playoff team. And last season, he averaged 31 points per game, 4 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game, shooting 48.5% from the field and 35% from 3. At number 3, we got Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker had another great year last season, and he finally got a taste of some team success as the Suns, they claimed the 2 seed in the Western Conference. Now, although Chris Paul's addition to the team definitely helped out the Suns a lot, and there's no denying Chris Paul's impact on that team, no one can deny that Devin Booker is the best player on Phoenix. There is no denying that, alright? Before his nose injury, he was playing very well in his first ever playoff run, and Devin Booker is one of the best offensive guards in the league is. He can shoot and score at a super high level, and he's a super duper good mid-range shooter. I know people will call the mid-range shot dead, but in my opinion, it hasn't completely died out. Plus, Devin Booker, I mean, he's still a very good mid-range shooter in general, and hey, there's nothing wrong with being a good mid-range shooter, and he can shoot threes as well. And last season, he averaged 26 points per game, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field and 34% from 3. Our runner-up is Paul George of the Los Angeles Clippers. All right, but Paul George, he had a really good regular season, and he proved a lot of people wrong in the playoffs, and I think that was really the biggest, the best part of this past season. Just proving so many people wrong, and kind of including me in the playoffs. As before, he obviously had that reputation of being a playoff choker, and this past season, it was different. He showed up in the postseason, and he led the Los Angeles Clippers to the Western Conference Finals, even when Kawhi Leonard went down with an injury. And I mean, props to Paul George for that. He's obviously one of the best two-way wings in the league with the ability to score in the ball and shoot very well. And he can also defend at a super high level. And if he can lead LA to a really high, seed in the Western Conference next year, even with Kawhi Leonard out a majority of the year, he could definitely be an MVP candidate, especially if he puts up monster numbers. And I got a hot take that I definitely think this could happen, that Paul George could be like a top 3 to 5 MVP candidate next year, and he could have maybe his best season since his 2018 to 19 year. I mean, I would not be surprised if that happened. And last year, he averaged 23 points per game, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, shooting 47% from the field and 41% from 3. And at number 1, we got Kyrie Irving. Now, I know a lot of people will find that kind of odd that he's on this list, but I consider him a shooting guard because it's more like James Harden, doing the playmaking duties on that team when the Brooklyn Nets are fully healthy. So I kind of consider Kyrie Irving to be a shooting guard. Now, Kyrie Irving, obviously, he is a super crafty offensive guard. He's an amazing scorer. He can shoot the ball very well. And along with that, he can pass, and that's one reason why they do play him. A lot of times he is considered, one guard. Like, he can pass pretty well. He's way more of a score first guard, but he can still pass pretty well. Now, he does play on the most talented team in the league, so he might not have as impressive stats next year. But Kyrie Irving, he does struggle with the injuries. I do want to add that. But when he's on the court, he's one of the best players in the league, and he's like just outside of superstardom in my opinion. I wouldn't call him a superstar, but I do think he's in that like Jason Tatum tier, or maybe you can even throw Jimmy Butler in there, not quite a superstar, but they are pretty close to it. And I mean, Kyrie Irving last season averaged 27 points per game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, shooting 51% from the field and 40% from 3. Kyrie Irving, he might be hated, but there's no denying how good of a player he is. But with that being said, that'll be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this type of content so you don't miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I'm finally gonna do a face reveal. But yeah, with that being said, I'm out, you guys.